The U.S. bishops are urging the faithful to flood Congress with emails and calls to enact the Conscience Protection Act as part of the 2018 funding bill. In a joint statement released this week, the chair of the U.S. Bishops' Pro-Life Committee, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, and the chair of the Religious Liberty Committee, Archbishop Joseph Kurtz, write, "Increasing and fierce attacks on conscience rights regarding abortion cry out for an immediate remedy. Opponents and supporters of abortion should be able to agree that no one should be forced to participate in abortion." The Conscience Protection Act would bar the federal government and any state and local government that receive federal funding from taking action against healthcare professionals who conscientiously object to performing, paying for, or participating in any procedure they find morally objectionable. We have seen instances in the U.S. when pro-life doctors and nurses have faced discrimination for refusing to participate in abortions. President Donald Trump has promised to sign the piece of legislation which has passed the House of Representatives but not the Senate. The U.S. bishops are asking the faithful to put the pressure on Congress in the coming week, especially on Monday, March 12th. We are joined now by Representative Brad Wenstrup of Ohio, who is also a Catholic and pro-life doctor. Congressman, you have supported the Conscience Protection Act. Do you think this renewed call from the U.S. bishops and other pro-life leaders for Congress to enact it will make a difference?
I think it will make a difference. Every voice that we can hear from or have other members hear from can be helpful. That's how it works around here a lot of times. I think this is something that's long past due. Unfortunately, that we even have to do this, but that's the situation that we're in, and I hope we can get it done and get it done soon, especially before the end of this year, but I would hope sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Congressman, I want us to take a listen to part of a speech from Catholic nurse Kathy DiCarlo, who says she was forced to participate in an abortion. Take a listen.
My supervisor insisted that I had to do the abortion and that if I didn't assist, I would be charged with insubordination and abandoning my patient. I watched in horror as the doctor dismembered and removed the baby's bloody limbs. And I had to account for all the pieces.
Congressman, what is your reaction to that? How was that able to happen here in the United States?
Well, first of all, you know, being against abortion, I just can't imagine, and in her case, having to even be there and being forced to watch something that you're so vehemently against. And that in a country where you're free, that they're telling you must participate in something, even if it's against your religion. And I'm sorry, when it comes to these types of things, when people are forcing you to do things that go against your moral character, that's completely uncalled for. And what does that have to say about freedom in this country? People should be able to make decisions that they're comfortable with, that adhere to their morals, and not be forced and threatened to maybe lose their job if they don't do that. That to me is just unbelievable, and my heart goes out to her to even have to witness that, and especially for that poor child that was aborted.
You have been a physician yourself for over 30 years. From that perspective, why is conscience protection especially crucial when it comes to health care?
Well, you know, we're going to start saying that doctors have to perform certain surgeries that they don't want to do. How is that good for patient care? First of all, if you're a patient, would you want somebody operating on you that, one, isn't trained to do a procedure, and two, doesn't want to do the procedure? I don't think so. But this is what we're starting to see, where our government is trying to force people into doing things they don't want to do. You know, outside of things like abortion, et cetera, you know, in my own practice, even though something might have even been within my scope of practice, if I had a partner in my orthopedic group that could do it better, that's who I sent someone to. You know, we weren't forced to have to perform a procedure. That is unbelievable and uncalled for. And who do you think is going to want to go into medicine in the future if that's the way it's going to be? Our physicians are to have virtue and moral character and be able to do what they feel comfortable doing. And if the idea of the government telling them you have to do something is absolutely unheard of and dangerous.
Congressman, as I mentioned, you yourself are Catholic and pro-life, but do you see this piece of legislation, the Conscience Protection Act, as something that all sides can support, not just pro-lifers?
I would hope that there are people beyond pro-lifers that can see the value of this act and the value that it would play in our healthcare system and in general, and as far as freedom. So I do hope that it's a nonpartisan issue that we can push forward. And if we can't, I don't know what that says about America, to think that we want a government that's going to force you into performing surgical procedures and medical procedures that you aren't comfortable with or don't agree with. That is really hard to take.
It is Congressman Brad Wenstrup of Ohio. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
For reaction and analysis, we are joined now by our trusted pro-life expert. Mallory Quigley is the communications director for the Susan B. Anthony list. Mallory, as always, glad to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
First off, what's your reaction to what Congressman Wenstrup said about conscience protection?
Yeah, well, I think he hit the nail on the head. You know, this is the healthcare industry. We want the best people in the healthcare industry. And if we are starting to force and continue to force doctors and nurses to participate in a procedure that is the taking of a human life, that they firmly are opposed in their heart of hearts to doing, we're going to, over time, weed out the best people going into the medical community. I think about my younger sister. She's a nurse, and she is working and caring for people as they're dying, as they are entering the most difficult times of their lives and their families. And we want people of faith and conscience caring for us when we need it most.
And affirming the dignity of life at all stages. Can you clarify something? Weren't there recent actions taken by the Department of HHS to ensure conscience protections? What still needs to happen?
Absolutely. So the administration took a very big, encouraging step forward in creating an entire new office to handling complaints of healthcare professionals that feel that their conscience rights have been violated. And already we see that this is, people are getting the message that the administration is listening, because this new office for conscience rights, they've received more people complaining about their conscience rights being violated in these first 2 months of the year than in nearly all of last year. And certainly more than 8 years under the Obama administration. So that just means that the administration is paying attention to medical professionals, people who are having their conscience rights violated.
And make some changes. We'll see that happen. We've talked about conscience protection on the show, and we've previously asked Senator Mitch McConnell to include it in the upcoming appropriations bill.
Right.
But what's the strategy now?
Right. So it's the same strategy. As excellent as the action taken by the administration is, we really need statutory law so that something as important as conscience, you know, a bedrock of our nation, isn't at the whim of whatever party or elected official is in the White House. We need a private right of action for people to seek relief in court when their conscience rights have been violated. So we need the Conscience Protection Act. The omnibus spending bill, we have until March 23rd to pass it. So we have until that point. And really, this is about getting pro-life Democrats to challenge their party on this, because we have a lot of people on the Republican side who want to see this included, but this is one of those things. The omnibus bill is where both parties need to work together. So is Senator Donnelly, Senator Manchin, Senator Casey, are they going to challenge Democratic leadership on conscience rights? I mean, this is something that everyone should be able to agree on regardless of their position on abortion.
Mallory Quigley of the Susan B. Anthony list, thank you.
My pleasure.